Very good evening, everyone, and welcome back to the Cadet First Class Club for yet another edition of This Week in Army Football, our final Thursday edition of the 2022 season as we get set for the final home game of 2022 at Mikey Stadium. Senior Day coming up on Saturday as Army takes on the University of Connecticut. Noon kick time. Make sure you're in your seats early as 32 members of the Army football team will be honored before the game. Their senior day, last time walking out on the field at Mikey, always emotional, and Army taking on a Connecticut team which has come a long way under first-year coach Jim Moore. They are bowl eligible, the Huskies, for the first time since 2015, fresh off an upset of number 19 Liberty, 36-33. So Army will be back at it, Mikey Stadium, West Point, and fresh off the practice field. How about This Week in Army Football? Welcome to the star of our show, and that is Army head coach Jeff Monken. Jeff, welcome back to your show, your hour here at the Cadet First Class Club.
Rich, I'm just glad to be a guest here with you. You're the man, you know that?
I'm not. Well,
the voice of the Black Knights, this is awesome.
Okay, well, I think the $20 will be paid after the show.
Thank you.
And I'll tell you what, though, this is going to be a lot of fun on Saturday, this senior class. And, Jeff, you're very clear that each of these classes so very important to you. And I know you said resilient, tough. When you think about this group of seniors, what goes through your mind?
Just those things. They went through a freshman season that we had very high expectations in 2019 and finished up 5-8 and was very disappointing, a very disappointing year. And back that up, coming back to campus in the spring and really providing incredible leadership, that group of seniors, and for those freshmen to witness that and to watch that, I think they really learned a lot about leadership and toughness. And we went through the spring. Everybody was sent home for the pandemic. We were very fortunate to be able to play a season in 2020. We needed to play a season in 2020. Won 9 games, went to a bowl game, backed that up again the following year with a 9-win season, a win over Missouri, and had some disappointments along the way there, but really a great finish to last season, and came into this season, I think, with really good leaders in this senior class. And obviously there's been some games that have been right down to the wire, and unfortunately we haven't come out on top, but the culture is still very much intact. These guys are doing a great job leading this team. They continue to battle. They were as ready and prepared to play on Saturday night as I've seen this team all season. There was a determination in the locker room before the game and at halftime, and a bitter disappointment after the game. And when you invest so much in something, it's going to hurt. But that tells me that these guys really care, and they've continued to practice this week and fight, and they will. We're going to go out there on Saturday and give it our very best effort as we try to do every single week. And it doesn't mean we're going to win, but I know our guys are going to play hard, and they're going to try to do their best to honor this senior class.
Still 25% of the season left, which is unbelievable. 3 games left, of course, Saturday against Connecticut, next Saturday on the road at UMass, and then, of course, on December 10th against Navy down in Philadelphia. Jeff, before we talk about the game coming up against Connecticut, just wanted to touch upon really sadness throughout the college football world. The tragedy at the University of Virginia over the weekend. Sunday night, 3 UVA football players, Devin Chandler, Lavelle Davis Jr., Deshaun Perry, were killed in a tragic situation. Their game against Coastal Carolina this Saturday for Virginia has been canceled. And Jeff, I know your thoughts, our thoughts from This Week in Army Football and the Army Football Program and everyone here at West Point with the folks down in Charlottesville.
Well, our thoughts and our prayers certainly go out to everyone in the University of Virginia community and their football team. Coach Elliott's an outstanding coach. Of course, Coach Gaither, who's been on our staff a couple of times and spent a lot of years here at West Point, left us after last season to join Coach Elliott at the University of Virginia, and was very close with those young men, was a position coach for a couple of those guys, and just our hearts bleed for those guys. And we sadly experienced the loss of a player a couple of years back with Brandon Jackson, and just how that rips at the heart of a team. And I can't imagine what they're going through right now, but I know everybody in the college football world really rallying to to uplift Virginia and keep them in their prayers. And there's some healing and recovery that's going to have to go on there for a long time. But they're in great hands with Coach Elliott, and just very, very, very sad news to have that happen within a football program. But just tells you how fortunate we are every day to enjoy the blessings that we have and make the most of them. Despite what happens,
no
good,
doubt.
bad. We are very fortunate to have the opportunity to wake up every day and live an incredible life in this great country, and to be here at West Point and be among people who have made a commitment to serve this nation and protect those freedoms is really awesome.
And it really puts everything in perspective. There is a game for you coming up on Saturday, that against UConn, and we touched upon the Huskies. We could talk about Sonny Dykes. We could talk about Josh Heupel. Jim Mora, he's up there with the best coaching jobs in the nation in 2022, from where he took the UConn program to now bowl eligible in his first season.
No question. He's done a great job and really rallied his team and brought a staff together. That's not easy to do. And just much respect for him and for that team. They're playing really, really good football right now.
That is Jeff Monken. I'm Rich DeMarco here on This Week in Army Football until 8 o'clock. We'll be taking your questions coming up a little bit later on. You can watch us on YouTube Live, Facebook Live, listen across the Army Sports Network, and, of course, the Varsity Network app. Time now to welcome in the third member of our broadcast crew. Always great to have her back. Corey on the wireless microphone, who provides such insightful questions each and every week for us.
I love to do it. It's my passion.
It is.
Well, it's last Thursday's show, too. I can't believe it. Time
Isn't
flies
it
when you're
amazing?
having
So we
fun.
got Tuesday and then a Wednesday.
I
This is
can't
the
believe
last
it.
Thursday.
It's ridiculous.
It
What am I
is.
going to do with my Thursday nights? I don't know.
Go watch some football.
Yeah, I guess so. That's probably it. Yeah. Well, you guys know the drill at this point. If you have questions, we'd love to get them answered by Coach, or drop them in the comments.
Well, thank you, Corey. And coming up next, we're going to have two special guests tonight. We have a twofer for you tonight.
Outstanding.
Coming up next, in her first year as the military deputy athletic director here at West Point. West Point class of 1995, Colonel Gretchen Nunez. Going to spend some time with her.
Doing a great job. We're glad to have her on our team, and glad to have her back at West Point.
Back at West Point. We'll get to know her a little bit coming up in just a moment, right here on This Week in Army Football, live from the Cadet First Class Club, right here on the Army Sports Network from Learfield.
Today, I'm a captain on the Army West Point football team. Tomorrow, I strive to lead winning teams.
Today, I study to excel in the classroom. Tomorrow, I can reach for the stars.
Today, I am leading cadets during summer training. Tomorrow, I will be ready to lead soldiers on the battlefield.
Today, I lead with character as a brigade commander. Tomorrow, my possibilities are endless.
West Point, where leaders are made.
A promise is a trust not to be broken. Whether spoken with an oath
Do solemnly swear.
It's your first day. You know I got your back, right?
or sealed with a pinky. In 1922, a group of soldiers launched USAA with a promise to take care of their own. And after 100 years, we're still taking care of the military community. That's our mission. Always.
Till I can't fight no more! Till I can't fight no more! And when I can't fight no more! Till I can't fight no more! I'm gonna lie down! I'm gonna lie down! Bleed a while! Bleed a while! Army! I will fight! I will fight! Get up! Get up! Get up! Get up! Get up! Fight some more! Fight some more!
3.
And welcome back to the Cadet First Class Club, Army Football. This week in Army Football brought to you by West Point Family and MWR. FMWR offers horse boarding, golfing, skiing, catering, camping, and many more activities and programs. Visit westpoint.armymwr.com for more information. Rolling right along on This Week in Army Football. And Jeff, 2 special guests here tonight. And we'd like to welcome West Point class of 1995 in her first year as the Deputy Military Athletic Director here at West Point, former Army women's soccer player. How about This Week in Army Football? Welcome to Colonel Gretchen Nunez. Colonel, welcome to the show tonight.
No, Rich, it's really a pleasure to be here. I mean, my job is sport. I don't know what better job I could ever have. And I just really believe in this mission and what the sport brings in terms of leadership to our athletes and our future officers. So I'm really, really blessed and happy to be here.
Military Deputy Athletic Director. That title, that role, what does it entail within the Army West Point Athletic Department?
Rich, that's a great question. So I've been here for about 90 days, 3 months. And I will tell you that in every job I've had to learn. But what impresses me the most is the mission. We make it our mission. Mike Buddy, his team, our team on our side, to really provide a top-tier NCAA program for our athletes, for our fans, for the staff and faculty and community here. What a great mission. And again, the end of that, we're commissioning officers, leaders of character. So what better way to do that through sport? And I believe it's our mission, and we have such a passion for that. If next time you see any of our facilities managers or anyone that's, picking up trash, whether they're media, whatever it is, the coaches and staff here believe in it, and I'm just proud to be with them in this mission.
Jeff, how does it impact you? We talk, obviously, the subject of this show is Army football. We talk a ton of Army football, but there are cadet athletes, former cadet athletes from all other sports that just believe in this West Point mission.
I think it's the experience that our athletes have here, and it's positive, and they feel supported, and it's a great experience, and they're compelled to come back. They're compelled to come back and serve if there's an opportunity to do that, or to give if there's and there's certainly opportunities to do that. And so I think continuing to do that and continuing to build upon what we have and make it a better experience for the next generation and the next generation to improve that experience is really important. And we got a lot of people that are doing jobs behind the scenes that go unnoticed and are they say the thankless jobs, but it's the opportunity to serve these young men and women and make this a great experience. I think the folks that have been a part of this program and have worn this uniform feel compelled to do that more than anybody. So we're so glad to have Gretchen back, and just the job she does is incredible.
So Colonel Gretchen Nunez, Gretchen Meyer, during her time as an Army women's soccer player, class of 95, take me back. Great moments. What sticks out from your cadet athlete career?
That's a loaded question.
Totally loaded.
So where do I start? I mean, with every cadet, we all have different experiences. We have our trials or tribulations. We have our fondest memories. I mean, I struggled here academically, and I will tell you that the coaching staff and the staff, that faculty, supported me along the way. Of course, I did all of this. I had family support. My twin sister was also here, so those memories stick out. As a twin, as you can imagine, being a twin here was also a memory in itself.
Identical, right?
Identical. But obviously, soccer, my passion, is really what I remember fondly. It was our championship, whether it was our championship beating Colgate for the Patriot League Championship in 1993, beating Air Force, beating Navy, and the team itself. I mean, it's a bond here it continues past graduation and still today. The sponsors that you have here, the staff and faculty, there's so many memories I could talk about and be happy to talk about in the future with anyone.
And Jeff, Gretchen touches upon, the help of coaches, help of people around them. And I don't think there's been a program, I've been around seeing other programs where there's so much of a village that helps all of these cadet athletes here. And I know you experience it, I'm sure, as a head coach, and you see all the folks, whether it's an OR, whether it's a mentor, that are there for your kids.
So there are so many people that contribute to these teams that don't fall under the umbrella of the football team or the basketball team or the soccer team. They serve all of our teams, but they're absolutely essential. They're doing jobs that we can't do, we're not qualified to do, and they put in hours late at night, early in the morning when nobody else is around, and we wouldn't operate as a program as we are right now without them. So we got a great team here. We're very fortunate.
Colonel, Military Intelligence. Take us through your career as a U.S. Army officer. What brought you here to West Point?
Well, I'll tell you what, military intelligence, one of the best branches, I think, not that I'm biased, but no two people have the same career. And so that's what I like about it. It's very diverse. I was able to start my career in Bosnia deployed as a platoon leader in a S2. And then I did company command time in Iraq. I was able to command. I went and got my master's degree at DIA for strategic intelligence. I was able to come back here working as a 4th Regimental RTO, which was a fantastic experience. Again, giving back to what I had here as a cadet, and being able to give back to West Point. My most recent assignments, I just came from Stuttgart, Germany, where I spent some time doing Joint Cyber Center, so I did some cyber. So again, the uniqueness of being military intelligence and how that crosses over to other branches as well. And then finished up before I came here and did, I was an analysis and production chief. So really important mission. Intelligence has a lot of adaptability, or a lot of crossover into civilian world as well. So it's just something you can take with you and learn, and I love the mission.
So you've been stationed here since you were a cadet, and another loaded question. You always talk with graduates of how maybe the Corps has it now, how West Point is compared to when they were a cadet. What strikes you as a big difference, and you see it now than maybe when you saw it back when you were a cadet?
So when I came back as an RTO, the biggest thing that I saw when you get to step behind the curtain and actually see how things are run is the tempo of the cadets and what we ask them to do, and then the support that goes behind that. Those were the biggest takeaways that I had as an RTO. Now that I'm doing athletics, the flip side is that of the facilities and the modernization of those facilities. It's one of my top priorities here to modernize and ensure that we're giving the best program, again, for our athletes, but also for our fans and our faculty. So those are the biggest things that I saw coming back here, is just the change in the facilities from what I had as a cadet. A lot's changed, but a lot hasn't. We ask a lot of our cadets, cadet athletes.
Last question. You're very active in supporting all of our athletic teams, and of course, being here tonight on This Week in Army Football. How much fun has that been a part of your job, and a great women's soccer season for the Black Knights this year?
Yeah, I tell you what, all of our athletes are doing great. I've been able to get out to most of the teams. I've made it a mission to get out to all the teams to support. What better job than serving the cadet athletes here? You know, when I told everyone I was coming here, they said, "How do you get that job?" I tell you what, I am totally blessed, and I try to encourage those that want to come back to be able to come and do this job. I mean, tonight we're going to go up and we're going to support the wrestling team, who's going to be competing against Iowa. This weekend we have volleyball that's going to be, going to the semifinals and hopefully the championship against Colgate. And they'll be beating Navy hopefully for the third time.
Yep, absolutely.
On Saturday.
That's on Saturday. The win over Navy will be on Saturday, then the championship.
Yeah, so keeping track of all the athletics and what we're doing. And then, of course, the biggest one Saturday is, Coach Monken and your team beating the crap out of UConn.
All right.
There you go.
So, I mean,
you're right about that.
So there's just always something going on, and I'm very privileged to be around sport.
Well, Colonel, we appreciate your time, all you've done for the U.S. Army, and, of course, in your role here at Army West Point Athletics. Thank you for coming by, and best of luck.
No, thank you. Thank you for all that you guys do as well.
Colonel Gretchen Nunez, West Point class of 1995, military deputy athletic director, joining us here on This Week in Army Football. When we come back, our second special guest. That'll be in just a moment right here from the Cadet First Class Club across the Army Sports Network from Learfield.
Attention veterans. You can shop tax-free for life. Come home to your military exchanges for tax-free shopping, exclusive pricing, and free shipping options. 100% of earnings go back to military communities, keeping today's military ready and resilient. You served. You sacrificed. You earned this benefit. Visit shopmyexchange.com/vets to shop and save today.
The senior class is a great group of guys. They're strong leaders. They're competitors, and I think they're just a special group of young men. Guys have continued to fight and continue to lead and kept this team together. And I think that's a testament to the culture that they've created and nurtured.
Andre Carter, the All-American, breaks through. Oh, what an acrobatic interception by the Army captain, Markwell Broughton. Big players make big plays. Pocket collapses. Bonsu's got him back at the 24. The senior breaks through, and Jamel Jones will take it the distance, blazing 75 yards for the touchdown. Coming in, picking up the sack, Fabrice Boyd. Finishing it off is Komorowski. A sack for Army. Cuts back, it's pay dirt, and it's a touchdown for the Black Knights. Tyler, his third touchdown run of the afternoon.
Promise is a trust not to be broken, whether spoken with an oath or sealed with a pinky. USAA started with a promise to take care of the military community, and 100 years later, that's still our mission, always.
And welcome back to This Week in Army Football. Army West Point Athletics would like to thank its restaurant and tavern partners, Brothers Barbecue and O'Toole's Pub. Check out the restaurant and tavern partners portion of GoArmyWestPoint.com for more information. Support those who support the Corps. So 2 special guests for us tonight here on This Week in Army Football. And Jeff, it was great spending time with Colonel Gretchen Nunez, Military Deputy Athletic Director, really gain the perspective of the military side of what happens in the athletic department.
Well, she is really energetic about serving our teams and serving this institution, and it's just great to have somebody that loves Army and loves Army athletics and wants to give, and she's got a passion for it. So we got the right person in the right job.
And now we're going to segue to someone retired from the U.S. Army, was the letter winner on the sprint football team, a terrific sprint football player back in the day. Class of 1990, has served the Army football program in a number of roles. Now in the athletic department as Deputy Athletic Director, someone we've been meaning to have on the show for several years, and we're making it happen tonight. How about This Week in Army Football? Welcome, Deputy Athletic Director, West Point class of 1990, Dr. Dan McCarthy.
Yeah.
Dan, thank you. Thank you for accepting our invitation to come on the show.
Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
So, Jeff, where should we start with Dan? I mean, his stint as director of football operations, which there's a lot of meat on the bone there. Sport administrator, really someone who is spending a ton of time up in your office. Jeff, what do you think of when you think of Dan?
He is done it all. He is about every job in our organization. And so when Dan was still, he coached sprint ball here. He was still on the faculty, and as we were in need of a director of football operations, Boo Corrigan and I were talking, and I said, how about Dan McCarthy? I said, he'd be a perfect guy. He's got a football background. He's been on the faculty. He's taught here. I think he'd be perfect. And so Boo really kind of made it happen. And so we got Dan aboard with us, and he did a great job as the director of football operations. I think if you know Dan, he is extremely thorough in everything that he does. And so every job and every travel itinerary and everything we did was to the letter. I mean, it was just meticulously done. And so Dan, I think, probably was excited about working in football until he got there and he realized how much there was. And for a guy like Dan who wants to make everything perfect, it was a lot. And he spent some nights on the couch in the football office, I can tell you,
no doubt about
making sure that he got it right. But we were so fortunate to have him there. He really set a standard for that position, and then obviously parlayed that into a position on the athletic department staff. And I know that Boo recognized the value that he brought because of all the things that he had done here, being a grad and being on the faculty and being a coach. And so he transitioned to the athletic department and just has continued to do a great job serving our teams and particularly our football program.
So, Dan, what's your version of the story?
So it's funny, to hear it from Coach's side. I always tell the story. It was just one of those, Coach and I were neighbors up in the housing area. And so we're acquainted with one another and happened to bump into him on a Sunday afternoon and just talking about, hey, I'm getting ready to retire and I'm trying to get into athletics. And Coach said, hey, I'd love to have you come and be my director of football operations. And I said, Coach, don't kid me like that because I'd love to do it. And and then some conversations between me and Boo and Coach and then the three of us, and it worked out. And honestly, I couldn't be more thankful for Coach Monken giving me that opportunity. When Coach Boo Corrigan tried to warn me a little bit about what the job would entail, and it was going to be hard, and it was going to be long days, long weeks, long months. But my question really was it going to be a developmental experience for me? And he said, no doubt about it, because right, wrong, or indifferent, most athletic departments run by, with, and through their football program. And he knew that in that position that I'd have a chance to kind of touch all parts of the athletic department. And that certainly turned out to be true in that year that I spent with Coach Monken. And as Coach said, then had the opportunity to move down to the athletic department. And quite honestly, it was bittersweet. And I remember having to walk into Coach's office and talk to him about the opportunity that Boo had offered me to come down and be on the athletic department staff. And it was bittersweet because I had poured my life and soul into the football program. And I felt bad because I felt like I was leaving Coach Monken, in a bad situation. He hired me to provide some stability in that position, and I only got to do it for a year. But what a great learning year. And then, as luck would have it, I've spent the last 4 years continuing to work with the football program as one of the sports that I work with very closely in my role. And so I feel like that year that I invested has continued to pay dividends for me as I try to continue to help the football program as it moves along and tries to get a little bit better each day.
Dan, West Point class in 1990, flew helicopters in the Army. Take us through, let's start with the cadet career. And I think you fashioned your game after Chris Collinsworth.
Yeah, so I actually, it's the shortest version is I was a very lightly recruited football player. I was a quarterback and a kicker out of high school and really got recruited here as a kicker and didn't make the program. So I spent my plebe year playing intramurals, and then I heard about this thing called 150-pound football. And so I went out for that team in the spring of my freshman year, and the coach picked me up and I didn't run the triple option, so he said, you won't play quarterback for me, so what else can you play? And I ended up playing tight end, and I was a bigger guy for that program, and I wasn't fast enough to do most of the other positions, but I was big enough to block and talented enough to catch a pass every now and then. I was really just an extra right tackle most of the time, but had a great career with that program. We won a couple of league championships, so very fortunate to be able to play, and then to come back on the faculty after spending time in the Army to get to coach the team really was full circle for me. And then I finished out my career when I was retiring as the head officer representative for that program for about 9 years, and so really had a strong connection to what's now called our Sprint football team.
And so Dan today was telling us about losing weight to play Sprint football. So Dan was a walking around 185, playing at 158. And he said he would go all the way to 185 each week and back down to 158. So you want to talk about some dedication? There's some dedication right there.
And we're talking about wrestling earlier, taking on Iowa. There's some synergy between making weight in wrestling and making weight in sprint football, right?
Yeah, well, I was talking to Coach Ward today, and his wrestlers have to weigh in an hour before the game. I was fortunate enough, I weighed in on Wednesdays at noon and didn't play until Friday night. So as Coach said, at Wednesday at noon for about 2 minutes, I was 158 pounds, and then by Friday night I was back up to 185, and that's the weight that I played at through the season. And then doing that each week wasn't probably the healthiest thing for me to do, but it allowed me to continue to play a game that I love with brothers that I love just as much as any brother that I've had at home.
You could go to Hollywood and open up like a weight loss studio, and you'd have been a millionaire. We'd never known you. Yeah. I mean, that's impressive.
Wouldn't have had him that year in football ops.
That's
wouldn't
impressive.
have flown helicopters.
Yeah.
Wouldn't have done all that stuff. So Dan, we just spent time with Colonel Gretchen Nunez, and you could just feel her love of West Point, in describing what she does. And you're someone who, you've spent decades here at West Point. What does being part of the athletic department, part of this academy, really mean to you?
Well, so it really starts from a place of, I think back on my time as a cadet, and I know how important it was for me playing on that 150-pound football team, the lessons I was learning every day in the locker room, out on the field, and how those then projected themselves into my career, how they helped develop me into being a better officer. And so I always knew I wanted to come back and be a part of that. The coaches I had as a cadet were mostly faculty that were doing it part-time because they loved the sport, and I knew that was something that I wanted to do. So that was really my reason for wanting to come back to West Point. And when I did, I just felt like I was able to impact kids, not just in the classroom, outside the classroom, and knowing that I was pouring into them to ultimately serve our Army. And when I had the opportunity to continue to do that, not just do it in sports, but to do it at a place that I love, it just was, I can't be more thankful and feel more blessed for what I get to do every day.
And Dan, you're local, and Jeff, Dan grew up listening to the Army Radio Network, the great Bob Allen.
That's right? Outstanding. He is. I know he's a local guy, and pretty neat to be here at home. And when Dan was working in football, he would just talk about how his family's really close. He got to spend a lot of time with his siblings and parents, and it's pretty neat.
I know Dean Darling watches the show every week. Of course, we do the games, and you grew up listening to Dean and Bob, right?
Dean Darling and Bob Outer were, they were a staple in our house, right? My first love for West Point, for Army football, listening to those guys on the radio, and of course Bob was on our local radio station, and so. It was such a privilege to get to know him later in my life, and while he was still continuing to work here at Army football, and to have a continuing relationship with Dean Darling is pretty special.
And your family has carried on Service Academy, West Point traditions as well.
Yeah, so my two oldest sons are both graduates of West Point. My oldest son is out at Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri, about ready to go to his next assignment, and our second son, Shane, is up in Alaska. I'm serving as an infantry platoon leader. Yeah.
Well, Dan, we appreciate you stopping by. We appreciate everything you do for Army West Point Athletics, the Army football team, and I'm glad we got a chance to visit here.
Well, I appreciate you having me on. It's been a few years of me being here and looking out from the crowd, waiting for my turn, but I'm glad that I got a chance to step up today.
This is like royalty. You know what I'm saying, Jeff?
Dan's one of the best.
Hey, we appreciate it, Dan. Yeah. Dan McCarthy, West Point class of 1990, Deputy Athletic Director here at West Point, joining us as our second special guest tonight. When we come back, we have two supersized segments of questions for Army head coach Jeff Monken. We'll get to them coming up in just a moment right here on This Week in Army Football, live at the Cadet First Class Club right here on the Army Sports Network from Learfield.
Coming into the stadium and playing a game is a special feeling.
A beautiful day for football. Sold out crowd should be a lot of fun. This is going to be packed wall to wall, aisle to aisle.
It's really a great honor to be able to play here and to be able to play in the same stadiums. You know, 3 Heisman Trophy winners, teams that were national champions.
I've never seen, a helicopter fly over the entire Corps of Cadets, a packed out Mikey Stadium, something that it's different than any other college I've ever been to.
It's just all the history behind it. I mean, before games, you have the helicopters flying past. I mean, you have the Corps that sits right over there.
To see them sacrifice for us and actually sit through and bring energy and bring the spirit that they do, I think that makes it a lot different.
It's something that, you want to make them proud and you want to represent them well. So to have them there supporting you every step of the way is definitely a great feeling.
Game-time drive at the end of regulation, and then the win in overtime.
I don't think there's a lot of schools where when you walk into the stadium and you're getting ready, you have old grads from class of 89 and 94.
Having everybody come back and watch the Army football games, it's a great atmosphere in the stadium, and a lot of people really, really care about our success and how we do.
This is it right here. This is the backyard Army football.
Just being able to run out and touch that flag, it's just a tradition and it's an honor. A lot of great people have played in the stadium.
The legacy of people who played here, it's just real special to be a part of putting on the colors.
As cool as they come under pressure, Lindell back to throw the bomb. Steele grabs it from one defender. A 62-yard pass play. Army dramatically rallies to beat California. Army has won the Commander-in-Chief's trophy for the 3rd time in 4 years, coming back in the 4th quarter to defeat Air Force. Switches to line up on the left side. Murphy in motion left to right. Tyler keeps it off tackle. Heads in for the touchdown. Touchdown, Army. Tyler puts the first points on the board for the Black Knights. 3 seconds into the 2nd quarter. Army, a 48-yard drive, ends up in the end zone.
Three.
And welcome back to the show. Broadway's back at Eisenhower Hall Theater, the Hudson Valley's premier performing arts center. Enjoy your favorite Broadway plays and musicals in the comfort and convenience of America's Theater. Eisenhower Hall, a delicious meal at Riverside Cafe prior to each show makes for a perfect evening. Don't miss out. Tickets go on sale soon. Group and individual sales are available. Updated season info, ticket sales. Visit iCall.com. That's iCall.com. 2 great guests, Jeff, as we get some great perspectives here from the Army Athletic Department.
They were. Those were two great guests, and and two very important pieces to our athletic department staff, and just very fortunate to have folks like that working with our student athletes.
It's Army and UConn Senior Day coming up on Saturday at Mikey Stadium. Noon kick time, airtime across the Army Sports Network and the Varsity Network app at 10 a.m. with the Army Football Tailgate Show broadcasting live along Black Knights Alley outside of Gate 1. Make sure you get into your seats early. I'd say around 11:30. Not for just the usual pomp and circumstance before an Army football game, but Senior Day. And Jeff, know it means a lot to you when you go down that line and shake hands, hug players, their family members. It's got to be very emotional.
Well, it's great for those guys. It's great for their families and their loved ones that are there, and it's a big day for them. And hopefully the rest of us will make it a big day for us and honor them by playing our very best. And that's the best way that we can honor that senior class.
No doubt about that. Time now for your questions for Army head coach Jeff Monken on This Week in Army Football. And Corey, it is great to see a familiar face back with us tonight.
We missed you, Jerry.
Guest.
We missed you.
We did. Our most special guest. Kick us off, Jerry.
Coach, is any of the quarterbacks coming back that played this year?
Any of the quarterbacks that played. So the top three quarterbacks, Tyre Tyler, Cade Ballard, Jamel Jones, are all seniors. So they're playing their last season. They're going to play in their senior day this Saturday. Coming back, we got Bryson Daly, and we've got Zach Mundell, Alon Mitchell, and Bryce Davis. Those are our returning quarterbacks a year from now. So they'll be battling it out when we get into spring ball this year.
Okay, thanks, Coach.
Thank you, Jerry, for the question. Jeff, 3 games left in the year, 25% of the season, as we've talked about. Is there any plan to use Bryson Daly by design, or would it be just in the flow of the game?
No, I think for right now, the 3 senior quarterbacks, those guys will be the ones that will be playing, and Bryson is certainly prepared and ready. Just doesn't have the experience those guys have, but I'm really excited about the future with him. He's a physical guy, good arm. Tough runner, and I'm looking forward to seeing him next year.
And Zach Mundell, a native of Arlington, Texas, got him on that trip down to Arlington.
And he's going to be a really good player. Very, very explosive, really quick. I'm excited about him as well.
Next question for Jeff Monken.
All right, Coach, this one is, we've actually got a couple questions that, all were kind of the same approach. And it was, from our most loyal listeners, so it's good stuff. It's, how do you rally a team after a game as hard fought as that one? What's the approach in keeping this team motivated for the last couple of games? A lot of questions around how do we keep it moving for the last few games here?
I hope that we've built a culture and an organization where the members of our organization care about each other. And when people care about each other, they're compelled to do their best for those people. And we all can imagine being in our own family. Who in the world will we do more for than our own family? So if we can build relationships like that within our team, which I think our guys do, and it's why we call ourselves a brotherhood, they build relationships and they don't want to let each other down, and they want to fight for each other. So hopefully our guys feel that same way today, just like they did Saturday in the locker room before the game, and they were ready to go, that they want to help these guys that they love and that they consider brothers. So that's how we keep it going, and I'm certainly motivated, and I think our players are too. So we're excited for the opportunity. As Rich said, there's still a lot of season left, and we want to make the most of it.
Yeah, that's a great question. And Jeff, just to distill it to Marquel Broughton last week, got banged up in the Air Force game, was on the trip down to Troy, was dressed in pregame warmups, didn't go. He had a headset on the sidelines. And you talk about someone that was willing to do anything to help his teammates, his brotherhood. To me, that stuck out.
He's our team captain for a reason. He's really invested in each member of this team and loves being a part of this football program and would do anything to help our team have success. And so we took him down there Saturday. Just in the end, he wasn't cleared to play. And so, like you said, he grabbed a headset. He helped us with defensive signals and continued as the guys came off the field to inspire them and rally those guys. And he's a special guy, special leader, just one of the 19 seniors we're going to have playing in the game on Saturday.
19 senior cadet athletes will play in the game, 32 members of this Army football team. And Jeff, it's not just those players, right? It's your managers, it's your video managers, it's your cadet coaches. So many people this program means so much to, and they're going to be honored before the game.
Just everybody that invests in this program and gives, and that everybody has a job, not just the players, the folks off the field. As you said, our managers, our folks in the video department that help us, our guys off the field that just help with recruiting and all the different jobs. They all have an important role, and so they don't have to do it, they want to do it, and that's what makes all 32 of them very special.
He's Jeff Monken. I'm Rich DeMarco. When we come back, one more round of questions for the Army football coaches. We get set for Army and UConn Senior Day coming up on Saturday at Mikey Stadium. This is This Week in Army Football, live from the Cadet First Class Club. Back in just a moment, right here on the Army Sports Network from Learfield.
Nearly knocked away. Hunter able to gather and finish down low. Ball ducks inside the arc. Spinning left. Pitches Astrom and lays it in. Erickson crossover. Ditches McGill. Finds Hunter. Free throw line jump shot. Knocks it down.
In the mood for giving out some awards. I've got an award right here. Actually, an invitation. Andre Carter will come on down. The best senior players in college football get invited to the Senior Bowl in Mobile, Alabama, and this is the official invitation for you, Andre. Congratulations.
It's definitely going to be an emotional day, being here ever since 2019, just seeing the guys that have come through this program and enjoying their senior days, and now for it to finally be our senior day, it's just going to be a little emotional. But I think it's going to be a good game. I'm excited to have my family come up and being able to play in front of them at this stadium for one last time.
I mean, I'd like to say that we're focused just on the game and our opponent and just taking it one play at a time and one play call at a time playing for each other, but it's definitely going to be sentimental. I'm definitely going to be playing with some emotion, knowing that it's my last one, knowing that it's going to be the last time I run out there with the flyover and the bagpipes, and it definitely brings up some emotions, but I'm just blessed that I had this opportunity in the first place, so you can't really be that sad about it.
Oh, it's meant everything to me, just building the relationship with all the guys in the locker room over the past couple of years. It's meant the world to me, and it's definitely relationships that I'm going to be able to carry with me for the rest of my life, and I've just enjoyed my entire time here.
I mean, it's hard to put into words. I mean, there's so many people before you, and there's so much tradition, but also just looking at the guys to my left and right who also put it on, and how much respect I have for them, and love I have for them, and just the people associated with the program. It stretches far back in the past, but it's also right here in the present too, and it's a ton of pride and respect for the people around me, and love. It's a brotherhood.
3.
Coach DeMarco back with Army head coach Jeff Monken this week at Army football, back for one more segment. And we implore everyone here, if you're listening on your way, if you're in the West Point area, head to Crystal Arena. If you're here at the show, head up to Crystal Arena after we sign off. Army wrestling taking on number 2 Iowa after 3 bouts. It's 9-3 Army. How about
Come on,
that?
Army, keep rolling. That's good.
That's tremendous.
Yep,
So
it is great.
You can watch on Flow Wrestling, but make sure you get up there and cheer on, support the Army wrestling program. Army and UConn Senior Day, Black Knights' final football game at Mikey Stadium 2022. And Jeff, the final game in the current configuration of Mikey Stadium as the Mikey Preservation Project set to commence. And it'll be the end of an era, I guess you would say, of how the stadium looks.
It will, but we're all excited about the new Mikey Stadium, and I can't wait for that project to get started and to see it start to go up. And in a couple years, we're going to be playing in a brand new Mikey Stadium. So it's going to be awesome. The history and tradition of Mikey Stadium as it is, along with a new modernized East Stands, is going to be incredible.
Well, we can't wait for that. We have a few more minutes, another round of questions for head coach Jeff Monken. Corey, back to you.
Yeah, Coach, so this is another one that we got a couple hits on the same type of question. So this was from Steve Tracy. He said, you know, with UConn coming off a huge win against Liberty, a ranked team, you know, what do we do this week to, you know, kind of cut them off from the hot streak? What have we done differently in practice this week to prepare for what they've been working with this season?
We've got to execute in all phases. That's the bottom line, and it's not practicing different or just creating new plays or new calls. It's what we do best and trying to do them better, and we just haven't put it all together. We haven't put it all together often enough. Our defense played great on Saturday, and our offense in the first half really played well. We had 2 fumbles that cost us dearly, and that's unfortunate that we got ourselves in position and came away with no points. And then in the second half, we didn't play very well offensively. We didn't move the ball consistently, and like I said, didn't put it all together. So we've got to do that. UConn is an outstanding team. They won 3 in a row. Beating Liberty was an impressive victory. So well-coached football team, and it's going to take a well-coached Army team that executes really well to win a game on Saturday.
Jeff, we opened the show talking about Jim Mora and what he's done this year in his first year at UConn. You defeated this Huskies team last September. So different UConn is. Can you take anything from that game? You look at the starting quarterback, right? Pumachan, he hasn't thrown a pass this year, and they have new players at that QB position. What can you take from that game? Anything?
They're a different football team, and the new coaching staff and the schemes offensively and defensively, just a different football team. So there are over 20 transfers from other colleges. A lot of those guys came in this year, so some new faces. But there's, I think, 9 of the 11 starters on defense played in this game a year ago. So they've got experience playing against this offense and playing here in this stadium. So it's a tall task. It's going to be a tough game, and so we got one more day to get ready, and we're gonna use every bit of it we can.
And UConn's win last weekend over Liberty. Liberty was number 19 in the AP poll, and UConn won that game 36-33. Next question for Coach.
All right, Coach, this one is from Kieran Stack. We touched on Senior Day on Saturday. Does the team have any Senior Day traditions, or how does the team celebrate the seniors year over year?
It's just us honoring them before the game. We have our superintendent, General Gillen, our athletics director, Mike Buddy, myself, Dan McCarthy, our head O-Rep, Al Boyer, Colonel Al Boyer will be out there on the field, and the players themselves will have some gifts that they give to their family, but it really is just a chance for each one of them to be recognized. And the rest of our team, as I said, the best tradition we can have at West Point is to win at home, and especially to win on Senior Day. So we're going to try our very best to do that and send these guys out with a victory.
Jeff, I noticed earlier you were on a FaceTime with your mother. You remember your Senior Day?
I do.
Milligan?
I do. I couldn't wait for the senior day stuff to get over with because I just wanted to play, and that's all I ever really cared about was getting the kickoff, and so I thought all of the festivities and all that stuff beforehand was a real waste of time. I was just ready to get out there and battle. So hopefully our players kind of feel the same way. I think they're itching to get out there and get on the field and play together one more time. So hopefully we'll make it a good one.
Well, Jeff, good luck on Saturday.
Thank you.
And hey, it's senior day. Make sure you're getting your seats early for that senior day ceremony. Good luck. Good luck against UConn. That's Army head coach Jeff Monken. This broadcast, an exclusive presentation of Army West Point Sports Properties, a property of Learfield under the broadcasting rights granted by the United States Military Academy at West Point. This broadcast is copyrighted, and any rebroadcast or reuse of this presentation is prohibited without the express written consent of the Academy at Army West Point Sports Properties. The general manager of Army West Point Properties here each and every week is Steve Tucker. We'd like to thank Peter and Skylar on site, Tony back at the studio, Ryan Panney doing a great job with our video coverage, YouTube Live, Facebook Live, and of course across the Army Sports Network and the Varsity Network app. Two great special guests tonight, Colonel Gretchen Nunez, Military Deputy Athletic Director, and Deputy Athletic Director, retired Colonel Dan McCarthy. For Corey Younghands, Army head coach Jeff Monken, Rich DeMarco saying so long. It's Army and UConn coming up on Saturday, a noon kick time, 10 o'clock across the Army Sports Network with the Army Tailgate Show. Thank each and every one of you for watching and listening. Have a great rest of your Thursday night, everyone.